Welcome to day 93 of the 300 Movie Challenge. Today we watch the highest grossing film of February 2002, which was Return to Neverland. I didn't expect World War II to be a part of this for some reason.
I didn't either.
I mean, there were some historical inaccuracies with how they portrayed it, but then again, it's like a Disney movie, and it's
Oh
a Peter
no,
Pan.
Peter Pan is not historically accurate.
Like,
I
I
meant
can't-
more so with the
No,
air raid and how they showed the RV and everything.
Oh, I
Because
know.
yeah, but
I feel kind of bad at the very end when the dad comes back. I was like, wow, he actually survived.
oh my god,
I feel kind of bad about thinking that immediately. I'm just like, what? He's home?
but I guess when you think about it, kids. I mean, I didn't learn about World War II until middle school, I think.
Yeah.
Something. So I mean, it's probably not that important to the movie, but just watching it as an older person, you're just like,
But actually,
yeah.
The thing that's kind of weird though is I actually think the beginning 10-ish minutes is the best part of the movie.
yeah.
I think so too, yeah.
Because
I agree.
it's really interesting to see the kind of contrast where it's it makes sense that Jane, oh my god, there's another Jane in Disney. Okay, anyway,
Small Jane.
yeah.
Just call her Small
Okay.
Jane.
Jane Jr. She it makes sense that that's the kind of personality she would have given what kind of environment she's in.
Yeah.
Where
I'm
she has to be the realist of no, this is what we have to deal with, right?
Yeah.
And I was kind of oh, this is actually kind of an interesting idea in terms of having someone that's actively kind of going against Peter Pan or whatever. I'm like, oh, that's actually kind of an interesting idea. And
yeah, I'm
the
willing
moment,
to defend her.
yeah, in the moment where she's snaps at her brother is it makes sense, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of weird in that regard.
Because usually when they use that respect where it's like, oh, I'm an adult and everything, they don't really give much of a reason why the kid is acting like that or anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But then when you see the environment, it kind of speaks for itself why she's like that and stuff. And you could see that when she was younger, she was more childish and stuff. But then with how things changed and circumstances changed, it makes sense why she changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of similar. That theming is kind of similar to what's in Toy Story.
Mm.
Mhm.
So it's interesting to kind of see that, but again, applied in a really different way. The problem is just that, honestly, this is kind of weird. Is that it's too short. Because
Yeah.
it's just all of a sudden she's against everything, and she has this. She's no, I don't believe in fairies, which doesn't make any sense because she's right in front of you. I don't get it. That literally made no fucking sense. But anyway, so there was that, but then it's and then she goes and sees Hook, and he convinced her to do a thing, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe this will be something. But then it's 5 minutes later, and she loves them, and it's great. And it's wait a minute, no,
Yeah.
you needed to actually get into this change because that would have been
Yeah.
legitimately that's the focus of the story, if anything, and it's just kind of and then it happened, and you're but so
That's
After
not
a
how
song,
quick it
too,
works.
yeah. Because this is the shortest movie that we have, just period. It's 70 minutes. So
Not even. It's an hour long.
yeah,
I
it's
think they could have done a lot more with it, especially location-wise, because, in the original Peter Pan movie, you saw, a bunch of locations, the Native American camp and the mermaids and everything, and stuff, of which they, briefly showed those things, but they
Doesn't
really
it
only...
It kind of implies a passage of time when they show more locations.
Yeah.
yeah, because this felt super quick.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it feels like the story is supposed to take place in 2 days or something, and I'm But even then, they're really short days. I don't
It
know.
felt more like 2 hours.
Well,
she
I
was
say
there.
2 days just because it definitely did like become night like that one time. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It felt kind of like. Okay, I mean, to be fair, it was like a low budget like Disney sequel that like just happened to get a theatrical release, even though it like wasn't. It was on par with the other sequels that just got like DVD releases, right? So it kind of makes sense in something like a smaller project about that. And again, considering how great some of those are, like Mulan 2, the best movie
let's
of all
forget that
time.
exists. Doesn't exist.
Like, I'll take this. Like, you know what I mean? If this is like, oh, here's your directed DVD
Yeah.
sequel for Peter Pan, okay, fine, right? I'll take it.
Yeah.
So, it's just kind of annoying because, like, I feel like there was something they could have done, like, a lot more with this, the base idea.
Yeah.
And, yeah, because, like, I was actually thinking, like, for a while, I was like, I actually legitimately like this main character quite a bit. And then it was just that immediate switch to, like, oh, I like everything now. And it's like, oh, damn it. Like, you kind of messed it up. But it's
So
like,
much wasted potential.
Yeah. Because I was legitimately thinking, like, I actually legitimately really like this main character. And then I'm like, and now I kind of don't. I mean, I didn't dislike her. It was just kind of like, oh.
You were just
It's
kind
like
of
you
over
made
it.
this change too suddenly, basically.
Yeah.
So you were just kind of over it after that.
Yeah. So.
I kind of wish that. I know this is not possible, but if they just made a movie about little Jane during World War II in like the real world, I think that would have been very interesting.
Yeah, like an actual child's like perception of what's going on there and having that. I feel like I'm sure that is a movie already.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be kind of interesting to see that.
Going off of that, it would have been interesting if they wanted to incorporate Peter Pan into it, like seeing Peter Pan's reaction to the real world too.
Oh yeah, like put
Like
him
if
in
he's there
London.
with Jane.
Yeah, wait a minute. Okay, so the whole thing is that a lot of time has passed and he doesn't grow up, but so that's kind of the thing at the very end where he sees Wendy, right?
Yeah.
And that was a decent scene too. But I'm like, well, wait a minute. No, they should have gone way further from this and actually have him like maybe do almost like a little anthology thing where like he kind of comes back to see Wendy every like 5 or 10 years, and they have like a little mini adventure or whatever during the time. But then it also equally focuses on Peter Pan noticing not only Wendy but the rest of the world changing when his doesn't.
Oh, that'd be kind of interesting.
That'd be really cool.
It reminds me of this sounds so unrelated, but I like found this YouTube channel. It's Alternate History Hub. It's like a channel that goes over like alternate timelines of like, what if like the Confederacy won the Civil War, or like shit like that, right? And one of the things he covered was a book series by, I forgot the author's name, but it was a book series where World War II is happening, and then during World War II, aliens invade.
What?
And so basically all the nations fighting in World War II have to like stop fighting and like fight the aliens, right?
Oh.
So it's kind of like what happens with that. And and you think like, well, if aliens show up, they're just gonna like destroy everybody, right? And it's like, well, okay.
Yeah.
But the interesting way that he does with that is that, space travel still takes a long time, right?
Yeah.
So the aliens had come like and observed Earth like hundreds of years ago when they were just like farmers with like no technology, and we're like, oh, these dudes are like no problem, we'll take them out and take this planet, it'll be great. And so then they come back like 500 years later, and the aliens like technology is like more advanced, but it's developing way slower. So they expected humanity to like still be farmers like 500 years later, and then humanity has like nukes, and they're like, what the fuck? Like, we didn't expect this at all, right? So even though the aliens are more advanced, they like weren't prepared for that kind of fight, right?
Right.
So
right.
that's kind of an interesting way of looking into it, because, of course, if aliens did try to invade Earth, they would be more powerful, right? So it's just kind of like, what's an actual like realistic balance to that? And so I was kind of thinking about, you could kind of do a similar thing here where Peter Pan just like, is just not used to all of this change, especially because this is, middle of the 1900s. There's a fuckload of changes happening then.
Yeah.
Right? So that would be really interesting to see. Like, hell, even have it go to like fucking like, modern day almost. Have that change. That would be super interesting if they actually tried to go through that. But that kind of completely changes the movie. But I don't know. I feel like that would be more interesting.
I mean, the plot of this movie wasn't that essential, I don't think.
Well, no, they're
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, that said, though, for what it is, it's not bad. It's a bit disappointing, but it's not. It's, to be fair, again, it's basically a direct-to-DVD Disney sequel, so you can't really be too disappointed at it.
Yeah.
So, and I can't really think of anything that's like objectively bad. So,
The animation's nice.
yeah, well, it's interesting with the animation because it's like they're kind of trying to emulate the original style, but it's obviously made modern.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting that kind of mix with that. But yeah, it looks good, and the
Captain Hook, as always, is a joy to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just such an enjoyably pathetic person.
Yeah. Oh fuck.
So that's he's definitely the highlight. And then Jane for like the first like 2/3 of the movie.
Yeah.
We will all defend little Jane.
She's not as she's growing up to be just like Jane, the other Jane. Jane Senior.
They're both British, but definitely no correlation.
Yeah.
Or is there? Because
That-
isn't there this thing about how like all the Disney films are like connected because like of a bunch of shit?
Oh yeah, because the thing is that the reason that got brought up was I think, well, the Tangled characters actually appear very briefly in the Frozen movie, and then apparently one of the, I guess I want to say employee, I forgot what his position is in the company, but in the elevator or somewhere, he was randomly just like, the Frozen characters that Valen didn't watch Frozen, but I don't think this comes as much of a spoiler because you find out in like the first 10-15 minutes of the movie. But the parents, like, their ship goes down and stuff, so he was like, what if the parents were actually Tarzan's parents?
Oh yeah.
And Tarzan is actually the lost prince.
Slightly awkward. Because he's like 15, 16 years younger than their youngest daughter at the time.
Yeah.
Oh well.
It happens.
And then it's like the ship that went down is what Ariel finds in Little
Oh
Mermaid.
yes, yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing that. So I don't know. I don't think this film falls into that, but I don't know.
No.
So I mean, I don't know. I mean, personally, I don't really have that much of an attachment to Peter Pan. Like, I honestly don't even remember if I've actually seen the original movie. I honestly don't
I
know.
can't remember anything from the first movie except like Captain Hook and his crocodile, and that's it.
Yeah, that's really.
Yeah.
That's all I remember.
I remember like basically nothing. So
I remember very little. Oh yeah, actually, another thing that I was curious about is what happened to Wendy's two younger brothers.
oh yeah,
She had siblings?
yeah, she did.
Yeah, she had two younger siblings. They were
Oh.
both boys.
No,
And
Maybe they
stuff.
got married and...
they
I don't
died in
know.
the war.
But yeah, I was like, wait, what happened to them?
Who knows?
They died in the war, obviously.
They got put on a bus and they never came back.
Like, oh my god.
Huh?
I just thought of like the fucking them like getting on the train like in Life is Beautiful.
Oh my god! That's terrible!
I'm like, I don't think they're Jewish, but
Oh my god! They live in England! Like,
no, I know.
do you know how hard that would be?
I don't know. It's a magic train.
You mean from Harry Potter?
Fuck, sure, I don't know.
They're actually wizards.
Just link everything together. Fuck it.
Oh my god. Evidently we have to end this.
No,
Alright.
there's one more thing.
Yeah,
Oh no.
It's February.
yeah.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Let's trude it up.
Yes.
Okay, so today I actually have something quite relevant, except said crocodile was not there.
Nope, we got
But-
a
Okay.
really
It's
weird
mentioned.
octopus that somehow had like eye stalks, which like makes no fucking sense, and it made like bubble noises, which is not intimidating at all. So I don't. And it had like a tongue. So I don't fuck it. Okay, whatever. Anyway.
Forget the octopus, it's fine. Okay, so I mostly grew up in good old Florida, where there are a lot of alligators. And behind my childhood home, there was a lake. And one day, this alligator came up to like my porch door, and this door is like a glass door. And my grandfather was like walking past, and then he looked down, he was like, and so I'm Vietnamese, and the
You
word
are.
I never knew.
No, I'm not Vietnamese. Yeah,
I
I'm
thought
Vietnamese.
you were Norwegian.
Yeah, I'm actually like white as hell, by
I
the
was
way.
trying to think of the opposite of Vietnam, and I thought of Norwegian. Norwegia, Norway. Fuck.
Norwegia. You made up a new country now.
I'm
My
tired. Oh my god. Okay, sorry.
Anyway, so the Vietnamese word for alligator or crocodile, they're kind of interchangeable in Vietnamese, is ca sao. My Vietnamese is terrible, by the way, but ca sao basically very literally translates to ugly fish. Because ka is fish and sao is ugly. So, whenever I tell people this story, I find it kind of funny because I get to call the alligator an ugly fish, even though it's not a fish at all. And, I mean, I think they look kind of cool. They're really scary, but I don't think they're ugly.
Yeah.
Wait, you have to tell the end of the story.
Oh, yeah. So then, by the end of it, we had to end up calling, like, animal services to, like, take the alligator away. But we're not sure if it was taken away or not. But that was a long, long time ago.
Okay.
So it's probably gone right now.
Oh, God.
But yeah,
Can't those things live like a really long time?
Yeah, I think they can live like 30 years or something.
yeah, so I think by now it's gone, but by that point, like, a hurricane had hit, and we used to have, like, a screen enclosure before our porch, but it blew away, so this alligator came right up next to our house.
Oh, I don't think that alligator is gone.
Huh?
Alligators can the American alligator can live 30 to 50 years.
Oh my
Yeah, I thought they could live like 50 years.
Yeah.
You know, he just moved in after you left.
Oh yeah, I see. So they're just hiding it.
Yep.
Well, now I have an uncle, Kasao. So if anyone wants to learn a little bit of Vietnamese, that's how you say alligator. I don't really speak Vietnamese though, and that's like one of the only words I can pronounce correctly. So yeah.
I mean,
That's
it's
the
not
true
it's
story.
not it's not like English is much better in that regard. I mean, like dragonfly.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're not even flies, it's a different family.
I'm still really sore about photography.
The what?
Photography. I thought it was pronounced photography for like the longest
Oh.
time. And then what happened was is that in like senior year of high school, I took I still have to consciously think about the fact of how I pronounce it. I was still pronouncing it as photography, and one of my friends was like, "Oh, what classes are you taking?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm taking photography." And she gave me this weird look, and I was like, "Well, what happened? It's an elective." And she's like, "Can you pronounce it again?" And I was like, "Photography." And she's like, "You mean photography?" I was like, "Oh." But it's spelled photo and graphy, so you would think that that's how it's split up, but
Well, okay.
Kind
here's
of like thermometer.
yeah, or like
Oh, yeah,
I
or
also-
kilometer. You know,
right.
Kilometer, yeah.
it's I don't
I
know.
also pronounce it as thermometer. That was another thing I also did.
I mean, personally, as an English major, I don't care. But then again, I'm not like a linguistics person, so.
I see a lot of like meter things because I thought of also like barometer.
Oh yeah.
That's another
Would you say
one.
barometer or barometer?
I said barometer.
It
Yeah.
is barometer, but
I say
it's
barometer.
again the meter thing.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that I also mixed up, which actually my aunt pointed out to me because and she still points it out to me. Let's pronounce it is so you know malevolent. So I always pronounce it as male violence.
Oh my god. There's no I.
I know, but I thought that it was like male and then violent.
Oh my god.
Revolant. So
I guess.
Yeah, I remember when I told you it was benevolent and malevolent.
and I was just like, oh my god.
Well, actually, speaking
And
of,
whenever I had to like read through all of my aunt's like things so she can proofread it and stuff, because I would just read it out loud and then she would find like the corrections she needed to make. I feel like you almost purposely put that word and just.
I mean, I just like using it.
oh my god. No, I actually I kept thinking that benevolent was like a negative word because of like the
I thought that
violent
too.
kind of edge to it. It never
Oh,
benevolent
I
doesn't
see.
sound like a good word to me. I don't know.
No, I also had that problem too.
But so okay, going back to the so here's the thing that I never understood with English. I like how we're like not talking about the movie at all, but fuck it.
It's fine.
Refrigerator does
Oh,
not
yeah.
have a D, but fridge has a D in it.
Oh,
That's
wait, really?
true.
That's fucking stupid.
Yeah, think about it.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
It's
Holy
so
crap.
annoying.
No, another thing too is that you park on the driveway, but you drive on the parkway.
Yeah.
I don't get that either.
Yeah.
And I just thought of this because I mentioned Dragonfly earlier.
Mhm.
Because I know like a lot of people are like, as terms of like Pokemon, are like, why didn't they make Yanmega like a bug dragon or something like that, right? It's a dragonfly. And the thing is, like, no other language calls dragonflies like dragonflies. Where like English is like the only one, so it like doesn't work in that regard. So that's why that doesn't happen. If anything,
Don't be ethnocentric.
if
Yeah.
anything, what I actually thought of as like a bug dragon could be like a centipede, but like stylized like a Chinese dragon.
Eh.
Ooh.
That's what I thought was like an idea. But I don't know. We fucking
Kinda.
talked about like literally everything in this damn thing. Whatever.
I mean, it's a short ass movie. There wasn't much to
We've
talk
talked
about.
for like a third of how long the movie was.
Oh my god. Okay, end it.
We need to stop. But I also want to eat.
We
some...
ended up talking about the English language. I guess at least the movie took place in Britain.
Here's your last random factoid that's related to the movie setting, and also English.
Oh boy.
The English accent came after the American accent.
Oh, I knew this fact. Yeah, because like the aristocracy.
Aristocracy.
Aristocracy. Irony.
The noble people. They're like, we don't want to talk like the common folk and everything, so
Yeah, like
they.
those scrubs who fled to America.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they
yeah.
changed how they spoke. Yeah.
And then like the rest of Britain was like, no, we want to be cool too, so they changed how they spoke.
Yeah. So all you British people are fucking fakers.
Speaking the true English here in America.
We're the
Oh my god.
we're the real hedgehogs. But
Oh my
never
God.
mind. When I said faker, I thought of that opening scene of Sonic Adventure 2, and then I was just like, ha. Anyway. We're going crazy, we need to stop.
Yeah, okay,
Okay,
Bye.
bye. We're seeing a
Bye.
thing that's cold tomorrow. Bye.
Oh my god.